Yes, YouTube, we are back online, and in today's video we are going to be discussing one of the muscle groups that contributes to aesthetics in a major way. Now, loads of people want bigger shoulders. They want to look aesthetic, they want a nice narrow waist, they want big wide shoulders. But the reason that people don't have those 3D capped delts is because everyone trains their delts in the same way, which is wrong. Now, what most people do when it comes to training their delts is random sets, random exercises. They've got loads of variety, no real structure within their training. Now, just like everything else in life pretty much, if you want to see good results, you need to be able to track your progress week to week. So by having some structure within your training program, i.e. the same lifts, doing the same lifts week in, week out, you can track that progress, and it's going to allow you to see whether your delts are actually getting stronger over time. And if our delts get stronger over time, that means they are going to be growing. In the fitness game, doing this definitely doesn't work. And I can say from personal experience that random is not the way forward. You need to plan, have some structure within your training. So when we are actually referring to the shoulders, what are we actually referring to? So the shoulders have three separate heads. I'm sure you will all be aware of what these are, but if you aren't, I'm going to run through them. So we've got the front delt, which is also referred to as the anterior delt. We've got the side delt, which is also referred to as the medial delt, and we've got the rear delt, which is referred to as the posterior delt. So we've got three separate heads of the shoulder, which means that we need at least three different movements to target each of those heads. Now, the side delts are a little bit tricky, to say the least. So we've got two movements for the side delt, one movement for the front delt, and one movement for the rear delt. If you can include those four movements, which I'm going to run through in this video, you will be on your way to building some 3D capped delts. Another thing I want to mention is that when people are training their shoulders, they prioritize the front delt. So they do loads and loads and loads of shoulder press. Now, although that is great for building your front delt, when you are looking at pure aesthetics, you want a big capped 3D delt. The side and the rear are actually more important. The front delt doesn't really contribute to sort of aesthetics and looks that much. So your focus, your main focus, should really be on the side and the rear delt. And one more point, just to sort of push you that way even more, doing any sort of press for your chest, whether that's a flat press or an incline press, it's going to recruit quite a lot of muscle fibers from the front delt. So your front delt will be being trained even if you don't actually do a shoulder press, but I would still include one, and I'm going to include one in this video. So, as I've just mentioned, I'm going to break it down into 4 key movements for you, which is going to help you to target each part of the delt extremely effectively. No fluff, literally just science made simple for you. So it's really easy to understand. You can implement it pretty much straight away. It's basically a plug and play for you to build some 3D capped delts. First up, we have got the dumbbell lateral raise. This is a meat and potatoes exercise for your shoulders. I'm sure you would have seen loads of old bodybuilders doing this movement to help them build them capped delts. One thing I will say is that the dumbbell lateral raise now, sort of in today's age of fitness, does get a little bit of hate due to the resistance profile, but partnered with another exercise, which I'm going to cover later on, is a great movement and one that you should definitely be doing. Just to delve into the function of the side delts a little bit, the function of the side delt is horizontal abduction, which essentially just means that you are moving your arms away from your body horizontally. This is what helps to build that width in your shoulders. Now then, some simple cues for you to remember with the dumbbell lateral raise, and if you can nail these cues, you will be performing the perfect dumbbell lateral raise. So first of all, obviously grab the dumbbells, hands by your side. You want to have a very slight bend at the elbow. You want to try and touch your knees with your hands. What this is going to do is help you to depress your traps, which is going to remove your traps from the movement. From here, you want your arms 10 to 15 degrees in front of your body to keep you in the scapular plane, which is just to make the movement more effective. And then one thing you do need to bear in mind is you need to lead the movement with your elbow. You see lots of people doing this, leading with the hands flapping like a bird. Like, that's not what we want. So slight bend at the elbow, touch your knees 10 to 15 degrees in front, lead the movement with your elbow. Another thing to help you remember that, try and keep your pinkies pointed up towards the ceiling. And if you can do that, it's going to help you to lead with your elbow, which is going to make movement a lot more effective. And another cue to help you remember that is try and think in your head that you're trying to pour a little bit of water out of a jug. Now, if you do that, you pretend that the dumbbell is a jug, or the dumbbells are jugs. Try and pour a little bit of water out of that jug. You're going to keep your elbow as the main driver of the movement, which means you're going to keep all the tension on the side delt, which is just where we want it. If you want to make the movement that little bit more effectively, you can do them seated, which is just going to help you to remove a little bit of that momentum that you would get from swinging your body. Or you can even take this one step further and completely eliminate all momentum so that it's purely your side delts doing the work. So grab a bench, jam your chest into it. I've got a knee propped up on the seat behind me just to keep you nice and stable. From here, try and touch my knees with the dumbbells, keep my shoulders depressed, little slight bend at the elbow, extend out and away. And this movement, trust me, is humbling. You do not need a lot of weight. If you do a lot of weight, you're going to be swinging a little bit, which is not what I want. So to make movement as effective as possible, to make it as stable as possible, to eliminate all momentum, get a bench, jam your chest into it, and perform the reps like that. Truth be told, most people get training side delts wrong. Too much swinging, too much momentum, too much trap involvement. Using an exercise like this to make it as stable as possible, to eliminate all of that momentum, it's going to going to do your side delts wonders in terms of growth. Exercise number 2. So we have got another exercise for the side delt. As I mentioned before, the dumbbell raise is a great exercise, but it's very hard to sort of target your side delt in that lengthened position just because of how gravity is and obviously how you're holding the dumbbells. So exercise number 2 is a cable lat raise. Now, the beauty of this exercise, the beauty of using a cable, as soon as you grab that handle, you've got tension on the side delt, which is great. That's just what we want. With the dumbbell lateral raise, when you grab the dumbbells, you could essentially hold them there all day, and your side delt will not really be feeling anything. So the combination of these two exercises means that you'll be targeting the side delt in the lengthened range. You'll also be targeting the side delt in the shortened range. So by doing that, you are training the side delt through its full contractile range, which for those of you who don't really know what that is, that's what you want. You want to be training a muscle through its full contractile range. It just means that you're getting the most bang for your buck, and it just means that you are training the muscle effectively at each muscle length. So when it's lengthened, when it's in the mid-range, and when it's fully shortened, you're essentially just covering all bases, which is what we want for maximum muscle growth, maximum aesthetics. Have a little bit of a lean in there, leaning away from the cable stock. I will show you very shortly. So lean, making sure you are leaning. This will just help to increase the range of motion a little bit. Obviously, range of motion is great. Getting as much range of motion as we can when we're doing any exercise should be your goal. Maximising that range of motion to get the most out of each rep. Next up, as I mentioned very briefly earlier, we are loading the delt where it is the strongest. So the delt is the strongest in the lengthened position. By using a cable and leaning, we're going to be loading that side delt so much in that lengthened position, which is just what we want, because that's the area of the movement that's not covered with the dumbbell lateral raise. We have got the leaning cable lateral raise now, and really nifty trick with this. If you don't have access to a cuff, grab a regular D handle. You can actually slide the handle all the way down to the carabiner, the little loop. It's not a carabiner, the little loop. And you can just slide your hand through, and you've got yourself a makeshift cuff. So now that you've got your little makeshift cuff ready, you're going to grab the handle with the hand that's furthest away from the stack. You're going to grab onto the rack just for some added stability. You're going to place your feet as close to the rack as possible. You're simply going to take the weight and just lean away. That's all you're going to do. And the leaning cable lat raise, you do the exact same cues as you do for the dumbbell lat raise. So you want a slight bend at your elbow, try and touch your knees to depress your shoulders to limit trap involvement. Lead the movement with your elbow, point your pinkies up to the ceiling, pretend that you're trying to pour a little bit of water out of a jug, and take the long way around. So think of going out and up, not just up. By doing that, you're going to be performing the movement extremely effectively. You're going to get that tension all on the side delt. It's going to help you to build some boulders. This variation, partnered with the dumbbell lateral raise, is going to help you to train the side delt through its full contractile range. So by this point, your side delts will be absolute toast. And if you can do this week to week and work the weight up and improve your form, you're going to be building some capped delts. On to our next part of the shoulder. So that is the side delt covered. 2 exercises, one that's going to help to target the delt in the short range, one that's going to help to target the delt in the length range. Now, rear delts. Probably the muscle group that most people just completely forget about or neglect. They think, oh, it's small, it doesn't really play a major role in aesthetics. It does, it really does. If you want your shoulders to look flat from the side, crack on, don't train your rear delts. But if you want 3D capped Death Star boulders wedged into the top of your arm, you want those big round delts, rear delts are essential, and obviously they need to be quite big. So what I will say is that your rear delts, they don't need loads of volume, they don't need loads of weight, they are only a very small muscle. I would simply include a reverse fly or a reverse back deck. Now, depending on how small your rear delts are or how much you want them to grow, will depend on how much volume you do. However, I would say between 4 and 8 working sets per week would be sufficient for them to grow, and to grow at quite a decent rate. Another thing you need to bear in mind with the rear delts, obviously they are on your back. So when you're doing any sort of upper back row, your rear delts, similar to your front delts during chest presses, your rear delts during any form of heavy row or upper back row, any of your lat work, will be under some sort of tension. Now, even though that's not sort of the main mover and the main driver of those movements, especially in upper back rows, your rear delts will be getting quite a good amount of stimulus. Here's how to do it. So I'm going to do my favourite movement, the rear delt fly. Now, get a cable, don't need any attachment. Set the cable up so it is in line with the top of your head. I know this looks a little bit strange, I'm going to explain so that you understand why. Now, the reason I put the cable here is because your rear delt actually sits on a little bit of an angle. The side delt runs straight down. The front delt is on a little bit of an angle, but the rear delt actually runs on a little bit of an angle. So, by putting the cable here, you're going to have a more natural arm path for your rear delt to be the main driver of the movement. So, grab the cable, bring your arm to a point where it is pointing straight forward, and from here, you want to keep your arm straight, keep your shoulders locked in a neutral position, and you just want to push out and away at a 45-degree angle until your arm is not directly by your side, tiny, tiny bit in front. If you come too far back, you are going to engage your traps in your upper back, which is not what we want. So for pure rear delt activation, 45-degree angle, come down to, I would say, probably around 75, 80 degrees. And by doing that, you are mainly going to be hitting those rear delts. Now remember, the rear delt is a tiny, tiny muscle, so do you need loads of weight? No. I would opt for volume over weight, so keep the weight light to moderate, keep the reps relatively high. You want to do everything you can in your power to stop the muscles surrounding your rear delts, as they are much bigger, being involved in the movement. So keep the weight light, keep the tension on the rear delt, keep the volume relatively high. That's how you will build those big rear delts. Up next, we have got the front delt. So the movement for the front delt, which I'm sure you've all done before, and I'm sure you've all done quite a lot, because that's what typical gym goers do. We have got an overhead press, whether this is an overhead machine press or a dumbbell press, any sort of overhead press which has got high incline, which is going to help you target and bias your front delt. This is movement that most people spam, and they just smash and hammer and hammer and hammer to try and grow some massive shoulders. And although it is great and although it is important, we do need to pay attention to its other areas of the delt, obviously the side and the rear. This exercise is amazing for building strength, stability, helping to strengthen that shoulder joint. Now then, pressing vertically, so any sort of overhead press, targets shoulder flexion, which is the main function of the front delt. So to get the most out of the movement, before you even kick the dumbbells up, brace your core, tense your glutes, plant your feet into the floor, dig your feet into the floor, create a nice stable base. From here, you're going to kick up your strong hand, so breathe in, brace, and then kick up, keep it stable, and then you will kick your other one up, so just like this. From here, you want to keep your elbows tucked very slightly. You don't want your elbows flared out, as this is going to damage your shoulder joint, especially if you're overloading with weight. So keep those elbows tucked. Bring the dumbbells down to just about chin level, a little bit lower if your mobility will allow. Obviously, extra range of motion is great, but we do need to be performing the lift safely. And from here, just press up. Don't fully straighten your arms, as here the front delt is under no level of tension. So we want to keep tension on the muscles throughout the full movement. So just ensure that at the top of the rep, you've got a very slight bend at the elbow. From here, again, keep those elbows tucked. Just lower the dumbbells nice and slowly in a controlled manner to around your chin level, and go again. That is how you effectively perform shoulder press. Another thing with this lift is to not arch your back, keep your spine neutral and your core braced, and then try not to press the dumbbells in front of you. Maybe something that you do naturally, it's something that I see very rarely, but try to press the dumbbells up vertically, and you'll be absolutely golden. So peeps, there you have it. 4 key movements to hit 3 separate parts of the delt. So we've got a dumbbell lateral raise to hit the side delt, which is going to help us to target the side delt effectively through the mid and the short range. We've got the leaning cable lat raise to make up for that lack of length in targeting in the dumbbell lat raise. So this leaning cable raise is going to help us to target the lengthened part of that movement. Again, for the side delt, we've got a reverse fly or a reverse pack deck to help us target those rear delts, and we've got an overhead press to help us build the front delt. So include one of each of these movements to help target each head of the delt effectively. Progress your lifts, try to manage your fatigue. That is how you get 3D cat delts that everyone wants. Stop ego lifting, start training with intent. And if you want no BS, no fluff, more semi-science-based videos just like this one, helping you to break down complex topics relatively simply so that you can just plug and play the most effective exercise into your training, make sure to like this video, make sure to drop me a sub, drop me a comment if there are any other muscle groups that you would like me to do. And if you haven't already, drop me a follow at FitWithMackie on Instagram. And if any of you are interested in coaching, drop me a DM with an emoji or a word, and we can have a little chat and I can see if and how I can help you out. That's going to wrap up this video, peeps. I'll catch you in the next one.